So
Israel has decided, and people will absolutely understand this, that Hamas has got to be eradicated in the way that ISIS was eradicated. But ISIS was eradicated in a process that also involved a lot of innocent people getting killed on the way. Clearly, in what is coming now in Gaza, a lot of innocent people on the Palestinian side are going to die as well. How many is too many? And I don't have the number. I just talk about this debate about proportionality.
So first of all, Israel is a moral country, works according to the international law, and according to the international law, we are allowing all the Palestinians to go to the south area of Gaza in order to make sure they'll be safe, including creating shelters for them with the international community organizations to make sure they will be safe. The only thing...
let me ask you on this, sir.
Just one second, let me just finish. The only thing that stands as a barrier from those Palestinians to get into a safe place is the fact that Hamas is preventing from its own population to get to a safer place because it doesn't care about its people. He's using international support, not in order to give them, as you said, water and electricity, but actually in order to fire on Israel. And as we speak, everyone is talking about this horrific massacre. But sometimes we forget that fighting from Hamas carries on. As we speak today, Parliament being evacuated, the center of Israel being bombarded by those rockets. And we keep having over 6,000 rockets just in the last week. So think about it. It needs to have electricity and all those manufacturing. What do you think supports that? So it's Hamas basically taking from its own population and using it against innocent Israelis.
I heard
so
you. Okay,
blame Hamas.
I hear you.
Blame Hamas.
I hear you. But I also heard you this morning saying there's no humanitarian crisis here. By any definition of a humanitarian crisis.
Let me explain that.
That is happening. I mean, you may apportion blame to Hamas on your side.
Let me explain.
I don't think you can deny there's a humanitarian crisis.
Let me explain that. I'm a woman. I'm a mother. I have a sympathy to any innocent child, any innocent person in the world. We don't want to harm any innocent people. We want to target the militants. We want to target those terrorists. We want to target the facilities, the capabilities. This is what we want to do. And the reason I said that, because at the moment, in Gaza, you have supplies of water, you have supplies of food, and unfortunately, wait a second, some of it being abused.
Some say the water has run out in many areas.
And I want to explain why. 90% of the water in Gaza is not supplied by Israel. This is like a myth. Israel has just 10% of this. 90% of it is based on their aquifers, and they're doing that by using machines. And the machines, basically, in the electricity, they're being abused at the moment by Hamas in order to fire my own hometown.
And
this is what happens. So just think how irrational it is that the international community, knowing that Hamas started this war, is blaming Israel for what it didn't start it.
I'm not blaming Israel.
No, all I'm saying is...
I understand the scale of what happened last weekend means that there must be an unprecedented response.
Exactly.
I think any country in the world that suffered what Israel suffered last weekend would launch an unprecedented response. I understand that. But I also understand in my modern history that after 9/11, America launched a series of unprecedented responses. It invaded Iraq, which I felt at the time was an illegal invasion. That caused ISIS to grow in huge amounts of power and then kill many, many people. Afghanistan was a huge mess and continues to be a mess and is now back in the hands of the Taliban and so on. There's not a lot of evidence that a big invasion of a place like Gaza will do anything other than potentially make the situation worse. That's my concern.
So can I give you my answer? Life is about choosing between alternatives. If you have a perfect alternative, you would have gone for the perfect alternative. But going back even for British history, I mean, you don't want to go back to American history by attacking Mosul and killing so many civilians. And I personally think fighting ISIS is a justified cause because ISIS didn't do any good for civil society. And going back to your own history, when you fight Nazi Germany, you knew that there were many civilians got attacked from your attacks on German cities. Dresden was a symbol, but you attacked Hamburg, you attacked other cities, and altogether it was over 600,000 civilian Germans that got killed. And was it worth it in order to defeat Nazi Germany? And the answer was yes.
Let me ask you this.
Just to finish, my point is we don't target civilians. We definitely give them an alternative and a place to find a shelter. And we are trying to minimize casualties because our target is just to remove Hamas from our border in order to have my children to sleep peace and quiet in their bedroom.
I understand, but it is also true that nearly 3 times as many Palestinians have died in the last week than were killed in the outrage on October the 7th, and then that number is going to go much higher.
This is exactly why I think it's unmoral equivalence, because Those people got killed in Israel. Children, women, and men were brutally targeted and murdered in the most barbaric way.
I agree with you.
No, but the people got caught in a crossfire in Gaza are people we didn't want to kill. Some of them are terrorists. You need to remember that. And we are targeting those cruel people that are based in schools, based in hospitals. And according, by the way, to the international law, Israel is allowed to launch a military attack every time there is a place that puts Israelis in danger, which it is. The facilities of Hamas are based in civilian facilities.
Do you feel, you talked about being a mother, a parent, do you feel on a personal level genuine sympathy with the innocent Palestinians who are getting caught up in this?
Absolutely. I mean, my thoughts are to every single individual that is caught in a war zone. Now, but you need to understand, every country has first and foremost responsibility to its own people. So if Israel will fail to defend my children and other people's children, like we've seen those parents that had to, be in a shelter, hearing other, like I will never forget this video that you hear parents that hear one of their children get executed. I mean, those are things that are totally horrific. So when this is the reality, you need to understand there was a misconcept of the understanding that Hamas can be a tiger, can live by you. No, this tiger, it went out of the cage and it did what it did, and it's a barbaric action.
How do we get to peace after this?
So that's a great question. I think you cannot have peace. I mean, this, again, going back to your history, you cannot have any type of negotiation with this type of barbarism that is based on jihadi ideology. Hamas Charter is calling to annihilation of Israel and total destruction. So it has no political vision. So we need to have, from the other side, we need to have people who want to live peacefully with Israel. We've seen the Arab world opens the gate to Israel. We've seen the Abraham Accords. We've seen Saudi wants to normalize with Israel. I believe the future can be better without terror organizations. And this is why Israel is fighting this war, by the way, for the West as well. This is not just Israel's fight. This is the Western world's fight. Just like you had your attacks in 7/7, the Manchester Arena. It's the same type of ideology that attacking innocent people. We need to fight it together.